go forward from this moment, that we shall not only be hearers of your word, but doers of your word in Jesus' name. That everything we hear today, we shall use it to be a guiding light to all those who see it that are falling astray. In Jesus' name, I pray. Today's lesson in the set of scripture is titled Freedom from Witchcraft, lesson 597. Can someone please recite the memory verse? Anyone? Okay, let's all recite it together. Micah chapter 5, verse 12. 1, 2, go. And I will cut off witchcraft out of thine hand, and thou shalt no more have soothsayers. Micah chapter 5, verse 12. The verse text we'll be taking today is from Deuteronomy 18, verse 9 through 14. Can someone please read that for us? Deuteronomy 18, 9 through 14.
When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abomination of those nations. There shall not be found among you any other that maketh his son or his daughters to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of time, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of this abomination, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. For these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto observers of times, and unto diviners. But as for thee, the Lord thy God hath not suffered thee to do so. The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee.
And the second text we'll be taking today before we start the topic is 1 Samuel chapter 28, verse 7 through 19. And I'll read from it. 1 Samuel chapter 28, verse 7 through 19. Then said Saul unto his servants, Seek me a woman that hath familiar spirit, that I might go to her, and inquire of her. And his servant said unto him, Behold, there is a woman that hath familiar spirit at Endor. And Saul disguised himself, and put on other raiment, and he went, 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, I pray thee, divine unto me the familiar spirit, and bring him up me, whom I shall name unto thee. And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits, and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life, to cause me to die? And Saul sware by her by the Lord, saying, As the Lord liveth, there shall be no punishment to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice, and the woman spake unto Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Paul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, An old man cometh up, and is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that this was Samuel. And he stopped with his face to the ground, and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou disquieted me, to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God has departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Then said Samuel, Wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed from thee, and is become thine enemy? And the Lord hath done unto him as he spake by me, for the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given unto thy neighbor, even unto David. Because thou obeyest not the voice of the Lord, nor executest his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore hath the Lord done this thing unto thee this day. Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines. And tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me, and the Lord shall also deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. Amen.
As I
as I said today, the topic that we're taking is freedom from witchcraft. Alongside all the teachings in the Bible, as we all know, the Bible is the Word of God sent by God Himself. It's written by man, inspired by God, and it states out all the rules, the regulations, the things we should follow in order to live a life that is righteous and holy before God. And among those things that the Bible lists among the rules and regulations, things we should and should not do, among the things the Bible talks about is witchcraft. Now, witchcraft, by definition, is the practice of relating with evil spirits with a hideous, heinous motive. Now, specifically to this topic, the Bible strictly states that we should not participate. It is a forbidden act, a forbidden practice in the Bible. That we as believers should steer clear from this and only adhere to the word that God tells us to listen to. But in reality today, in the world we live in today, there are many people that see witchcraft and such things as like old things of the past and superstitions, because they feel like, because of the abundance of technology and advancement and modernization, they feel like witchcraft is something of like olden day superstition that just existed because they didn't have access to the technology we have today. But as believers in the Word of God, we know that the existence for these things is clear and it's present, and it will only be like the proverbial buffoon who learned nothing and forgot nothing if we choose to ignore the existence of these things. Believers must be informed about these things in order to avoid their encounter with such witchcraft, such individuals that carry this power along with them, so we can steer clear and be as God wants us to be. The topic we took on last week, the first point we took on last week, was titled "The Divine Warning Against Witchcraft." Would anyone like to tell us what they learned from last week? Thank you. As the brother said, he is exactly right, and that's what we focused on last week. But I'll quickly summarize it so we can all make sure we have the same understanding. Last week, what we talked about is like I said, the divine warning against witchcraft. Like I said, witchcraft is the practice of relating with evil spirits with a hideous or fiendish motive. It is also referred to as sorcery. The people that practice things are known as wizards, witches, mages, whatever you want to call them. And they have all entered a covenant with the devil in order to gain these supernatural, otherworldly powers in order to affect their lives for whatever desire they choose to seek it. Believers should deal with witchcraft as something that's forbidden, because it is forbidden. We should not partake in it whatsoever. We should avoid it at all costs. We should not try to even let ourselves get into situations where that suggestion is possible, because as we know, it only takes a small temptation for someone to fall. We should avoid that temptation and not put ourselves in a position for us to fall. In Galatians chapter 5 through 20, can we please turn to Galatians chapter 5 verse 20? Can someone please read from Galatians chapter 5 verse 20?
Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulation, wrath, strife, sedition, heresies.
Oh no, sorry. Galatians chapter 5 verse 2. 5 verse 2, sorry.
Verse 2.
Yes, sorry.
Behold, I, Paul, say unto you, that if you be circumcised, Christ shall profit you. Say, behold, I, Paul, say unto you, that if you be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. Galatians 5:2. Or is it Galatians 5:21?
Oh, sorry, yeah, 21. 21 was bad. Anyway, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like. Of of them which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, they which that do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. Like he read in Galatians chapter 5 verse 20, adultery and witchcraft. Witchcraft is the second thing that the Bible explicitly states that we should not partake in. Like he says in 21, they which that do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. And therefore we should not partake in such things, because as it says, we as Christians we should all want to aspire to become to reach heaven and achieve heaven. So in order to do that, we must follow the rules and regulations the Bible sets before us. In order to, one of those rules is that we should not partake in witchcraft. Now today's topic is titled, the second point, the diabolical ways of snaring men into witchcraft, otherwise known as the methods from which people, men, children, husbands, wives, it doesn't matter where you are drawn in or ensnared into this practice of witchcraft. One of the reasons why witchcraft is so prevalent, why it's so common these days, because the ease of access is extremely low. The qualifications you need to get into it are extremely low, because the devil, in order to ensnare as many people as possible, has lowered the expectations. So anyone, whether you're the richest man in the world or you're the poorest person on the sidewalk, can enter this practice, and you can become ensnared and enslaved to the devil, because the devil sees like every life as equal, as God sees every life as equal, and every life can be turned into something for His work, and every life can be turned into something for God's work. So it doesn't matter what you are. You may say that maybe you said that you're too big, that no one can touch you, or maybe you say that you're too little, that your life isn't worth enough, that you don't mean enough to affect the world as a whole. But in reality, your life is as meaningful as just the other person's life, and the devil sees it that way, and so does God. But instead of us reverting to God's way, the devil comes in and tries to use our lives for the benefit of his work and his desires. Now, some of the reasons why people enter witchcraft is very, 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 very wide. Let me say. Witchcraft, people dabble into witchcraft because of, let's say, curiosity, or just prying into the secret because they're not satisfied with everything that the Bible reveals to us. Maybe they think that they want to know more. They crave this. They crave knowledge. They have this greed for intelligence, and that they want to seek knowledge of things that that is above them as people. That things that we naturally do not understand, because we are humans and not the person that created us. And because of these things, because of learning these things that the Bible doesn't specifically say, they get addicted to it or get hooked. It's just like, let's say, compare this to it like a drug. Let's say you try a drug for the first time. Maybe say your friends are doing it or something like that, and you just take a little bit of it. Like you just want to know, you just want to do it because everyone else is going. You want to experience the feeling. So you just take a little amount. But unknowingly, that little amount will lead to a bigger amount, and so on and so forth. It is a slippery slope. And if you don't know what a slippery slope is, a slippery slope, by definition, is a course of action that seems to lead inevitably from one action to another with unintended consequences. It's like I said before, if you take this one little ounce of something, it will lead to a bigger and bigger thing. And this is the same case in witchcraft. When you dabble into fix this one small problem, this one small issue that's bothering you, it will continue to lead you to use it for everything in life, and to the point where you're like actually maybe mentally and physically dependent on it, that you cannot like continue your life without dabbling into it. It's just like the same as a drug, how you're mentally dependent on it. You can't continue your normal everyday things without having that drug. In the same way, it can be with witchcraft if you get too far into it. Another way people get initiated into witchcraft is through demonized food, things that are sacrificed to idols. Can someone please read from 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20 and 21? 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20 and 21.
When I say that these things which are Gentile sacrifice, they sacrifice to devil and not to God, and would not that you should have fellowship with the devil. You cannot drink the cups of the Lord and the cups of the devil. You cannot be partaker of the Lord's table and of the devil, out of the table of the devil.
Like he just read, like the Bible says, you cannot drink of the cup of the Lord and the cup of the devil. You cannot serve two masters. You have to serve one, because you cannot please one and then please the other. It doesn't work like that. So we must choose God, and we must adhere to the rules and regulations that God has given to us in order to make it to heaven and to please Him. And like I said, like the Bible says, the way that people get into witchcraft, people get addicted to witchcraft, is through humanized food, eating food that is meant for idols, witches, wizards, things of that sort. And other people, instead of just, they might get initiated through that. But another reason why people might seek witchcraft is because they need success in that area of life. And I've heard multiple times that there have been an abundance of scenarios where celebrities, they go into these cults, these whatever you want to call it, Illuminati, whatever they name it, in order to gain success, in order to gain fame, in order to ascend to the top of their desired world, instead of the desired field, music stars, pop stars, whatever it may be. They do this, and you can see like some of their content. You can see obvious evidence of the traces to these like cults, like cult things, like Illuminati evidence, all things like that. Just like you can see traces of these demonic traces of this demonic stuff inside of their videos, inside of their content, inside of the things they produce. It doesn't take you. The untrained eye can see it. That's why we must steer clear of these things, because people nowadays do anything for success. No longer people to try to work for it. They just try to get the easiest path to it. There's like I said, a number of celebrities that do this, especially in the music business, things like that. When I researched one time, I found this kind of constant in some lyrics and some of music stars. There's this being or something, I don't know what specifically it is. It's called the Rain Man. Now, for some reason, many like say rappers' songs, they have this reference to the Rain Man in some of the songs. You can say, and when I researched it, looked up, it was like an individual where people go to sell their soul in order to become famous, in order to become rich, in order to gain this popularity and fame, so they can ascend, so they can become what they do. But at the same time, it's at the expense of maybe their peace, their love, and their family. Like their family as one, like as a whole, is like separating. But in the reality, like I mean, in the eye of the public, everything is fine. They're having a great life, but then they have to sacrifice. It's like you give this for that. You sell your soul to get this fame, but then you lose part of your soul because of what you just did. That's something that we should strive not to do, because it as good as it may seem, in the end, it's a negative thing. It takes away from you more than it gives to you. And why would you seek power from someone that was created when you can get power from the one that was the creator? And another way people get initiated into these things is through maybe just careless talking with some individuals. Like some individuals, they have certain peculiarities about them that are off, and that they're associated with this group or this thing, and you engaging in conversation with them is not benefiting you at all. It's only helping them to integrate this seed, this plant of doubt inside of your body, and then you start doubting yourself. You start looking up things. You start doing things you normally wouldn't do because of this thing that this person said to you. So in order to do that, we must avoid interacting with these people that most times we know are associated with certain things that we as believers should not be associated with. It's only to prevent us from contradicting ourselves. Another thing, like I said before, in order to solve like problems and things of the sort, people go into like spiritualists, like witch doctors, as the like, in order to, like, let's say a woman cannot give a child, has trouble giving birth to a child. In order to achieve that feat, in order to have that child, they may go to a witch doctor, whatever you want to call it. I don't know the specific terminology for it, but they go to those things in order to get a child, and then they may get the child, but then in the end, the child is like almost an abomination because it was a product of something that was evil. And I've heard this one story before that I've heard it many times. It's like this woman, like she couldn't have children, so she went to this, I don't know the terminology for this, but like this witch doctor or spiritualist, and then the spiritualist told her to do certain things, tie a goat on her back, such as the like. And then after she did all these requests that the Spirit was asked her to do, she had the child, like seemingly miraculously. Then in the end, when the child came out, the child couldn't speak. The child was like she tied a goat on her back and was feeding it. And then in the end, when she gave birth to the child was actually speaking like a goat instead of like the normal human self that it was supposed to be. So what I'm saying is that when you do things like this, when you dabble into such things as this, it may seem good to you, it may seem like the result is positive, but in reality, there's always a downside to it that you should be aware of before you even think about these things. As we as Christians should know this from the start, because we have read the Bible. The Bible states this in many forms, many places in the Bible. There are many chapters in the Bible that explicitly talk about the results of dabbling into such things as this. So we as Christians should know that we should never dabble into such things. And also another way that people are initiated into witchcraft is through sexual immorality with possessed partners. So, like the Bible says, we should not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. So we should, like in marriage, the Bible says we should marry, like, and basically said we should marry Christians, so we don't get, so scenarios like this don't have no possibility of happening. So you don't encounter someone that you might seem as, that it may seem as good, but in reality they may have a negative. They have a negative connotation to them. They may want to affect you negatively when they like their persona seems like they want to help you. So we as Christians should adhere to what the Bible says and avoid these things. Another thing the devil does in order to get people hooked on this thing, like I said before, is through music. These like little undertones, these subliminal messages that at first it may not seem like anything. It might just seem like it's just how they sing, it's how they rap, it's how they do their thing. But in reality, even it doesn't take much thinking. When you just do a little studying, a little interpretation of what they're saying, a little translation, you can understand the specific references. There are many times when I've seen on news many times when people they're like poses in pictures, specific poses that people do, like celebrities do, are clearly references to things such as the Baphomet that are seen that we know to be evil. They do the triangle, the Illuminati thing that are clearly references to demonic things that we know we should not partake in, although it may not seem like that to the viewer, to the person that's watching it. In reality, it has these negative connotations that we as believers should be aware of, because the devil is always trying to get us on his side, and we must make sure that we never contradict ourselves. We always stand on the path that God has set for us. Another way that witchcraft can enter a person is that through this backsliding, slowly leaving the faith. That little hole that you leave in your faith when you no longer believe and have Christ as Lord, that little defense that you have is broken. It lets a lot of things to seep in. It lets, like, one little crack may not seem as much, but then you know that one crack, when something hits it, it can break through and it can enter you, and then unknowingly you might become possessed with these things. You might become victims to these atrocities. Yeah. Can someone please answer this question? Can you mention some ways by which Satan entraps people into witchcraft?
See, as about it's like through listening to music or through aspiration or desire, wanting or something, you want to meet a child, or you want to become rich, or you want to become famous. Somebody can easily get into this craft by seeking for outside the will of God.
Sometimes too, by what we are supposed to accept it. Like a child in the house now, the parents can just go and get just like a toy, kind of, for the child, unknowingly. But that toy might be something like an avenue that the enemy can use to reach that child or possess that child. Like some of the things we do, like some of the people we move around with, even through food or anything that is enticing.
Yeah.
If you go down to Africa, there are lots of ways by which people are getting possessed. A lot of ways. Some child in the kindergarten, some children, toddlers, even little young ones that are possessed. They come to school with things and they distribute it and give it to everyone to take. At the end of the day, people get in the shape and they sleep, they see themselves in strange places, eating food, dancing with whatever thing they just see themselves in. So very funny thing. And the things they wear too, even the clothes that we buy sometimes can get us possessed.
And then thank you very much.
And also, we should be
Let's rise up and let us pray. Let's rise up and let us pray. Let's take everything you heard today into prayer. Pray, Lord, that as we go in our lives, as we do activities, as we experience them, we pray, Lord, that we should stay on the right path, and that any sign of deterrence from this path that God has set for us through witchcraft or whatever it may be, that we should avoid it, that we should steer clear of this, that we should be vigilant and have the required determination to steer clear from these things, and we should adhere to what the Bible says and obey Him, so that in the end we may all reach heaven, and because that is our ultimate goal.